about a priest and a young woman who comes in to make a confession.
Decorative bookends, and they reached out to me and asked me if I would like a set, and I said
Good morning, y'all. It is Tuesday. I did not have the opportunity to update. I was not feeling well yesterday. I am not sure what was going on yesterday, but I felt so drained, like just physically just exhausted. And so I came home, did what I typically do. Come on, boo. I did what I normally do, and then it was pretty much time for me to go to bed and relax. I did edit a video that's going to go up today, but I was drained, and it could have just been what I was doing yesterday, like work-related stuff. I ended up finishing a lot yesterday. I finished 2 books in the pre-series, and then I finished Cookies and Milk. I finished that one, and then I also end up finishing 2 not short, I always say short novellas, it's just novellas. I also ended up finishing 2 novellas from KU, both merman type of books and stuff like that. So I will check in and talk a little bit about those. As you can see, the munchkin is up and coming to parlay. So I'm going to finish getting us ready for school and for work. And then what I'll do is when I'm on my way to work, I will explain exactly what I ended up finishing. Plus, it's cold outside. It's 55 degrees, which means fall is arriving. And my soul is so excited about that. Okay, y'all, so I'm back now on my way to work since I finally have dropped my munchkin off at school. I have 5 books to talk about because somehow, some way, between starting this vlog on Sunday and Tuesday morning, I have finished up 5 books. Don't ask me what's going on because I don't know. I just did a lot of audiobook listening to yesterday because it was just that type of day at work. And like I was saying earlier, I think I just wasn't already like feeling super hot. And so it was a comfort space to just have my headphones in all day yesterday and listen to audiobooks. So the first book that I ended up finishing was Cookies and Milk. And that's by Sean Amos, who is the son of the infamous, famous Amos, which is redundant for me to say infamous, famous Amos. Anyway, he is the son of famous Amos, and this book is slightly based off of some experience that he had with his dad the summer that he decided to build a brick and mortar store that specialized in selling cookies, particularly chocolate chip cookies. And while this book does chronicle, like, I think the journey of him helping his dad create this business in this store, I also feel like at the same time, this is more of a book about family dynamics and coming of age in a summer after your parents have divorced. And that was like a huge focus of this book. It dealt a lot with like family issues. He has his dad, his grandmother, and my earring just randomly just popped out, which was always fun. But they have their difficulties with each other because he feels like he's grown up and his dad just doesn't want to acknowledge that he's growing up. We have these issues between his dad and his mom and how he's reflecting on how much his dad and his mom like would argue. I felt so bad at one point where his dad, when he was talking about the different types of arguments that his parents would have, and then you throw in his grandmother in the dynamic and you get an even more interesting narrative. Then there's some prior family issues that occur that he's unaware of throughout the entire book until maybe towards the end, where he finds out some stuff that's happened in the past with family, and it's really, really tough on him. And so I personally, I enjoyed it. I think that this is one that's going to be great for fans of Jason Reynolds, especially the audiobook, because Sean narrates the audiobook himself, and he does such a good job at narrating it, and it is very, very reminiscent of Stunt Boy in the Meantime, in terms of how why does my face look like that? Just the lighting is weird. It's dynamic in the terms of like how Stunt Boy in the Meantime was, where there's just a lot of, I don't know, vocal energy about it that I think a lot of kids are going to enjoy. And I love finding like books like this that feature young black boys, especially middle grade books that feature young black boys. There are some issues that Sean runs into with racism, but it's not a situation in which that's what the entire book is kind of based around, which I did appreciate. It really is about family and about growing up in the 70s and some aspects of how he assisted his dad with coming up with the company Famous Amos. So that was, I mean, it was a good read. I think that's definitely a 4-star read for me. I enjoyed it, and I'm interested in seeing if Sean decides to put out anything else in the future, because it was a solid read. I definitely feel like it was a solid read. After that, I ended up going back and finishing Priest by Sierra Simone. I was saying at the end of the last recent reads that I had planned to attempt to finish it before that recent reads was over, but I still had like an hour of the audiobook left, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that, because I'm not gonna push it just to put it in the recent reads. It could just flow into this week, and so it did end up flowing into this week, and I ended up finishing it yesterday. It was good. That one is going to be 4 stars for me. If you didn't know, Priest is a book about a priest and a young woman who comes in to make a confession, and he's extremely attracted to her, and they do some interesting things in the church, which I'm just going to go ahead and be forthright and say, like, this is not going to be a book that's for everyone, especially because of some of the things that happen within the confines of the church between these two characters. But what I will say is that it is tastefully done. What I mean by that is Sierra Simone I don't know if she did some type of research. I don't know if this is something that she has contemplated, or if she knows someone who's contemplated these things, but her inclusion of scripture, it didn't feel blasphemous. I'm just going to put it out there. It didn't feel blasphemous. It felt genuine, that you have someone who is reckoning with the traditional aspects of the Catholic Church and how it is in some ways detrimental or hindering to people. And when you find out the reasons why this man became a priest, that in itself is heartbreaking. It is extremely heartbreaking that was the place that he was in, when he made the decision to become a priest. And throughout the entire context of the book, it's beyond just lusting for this woman. It's really thinking about, why can't I have both love for this human and love for God? One of the parts that he had talked about, which I think is beautiful, is people have their preferences for whatever in terms of sex before marriage. I understand why people don't. I understand why people do. I see both sides of the situation. My preference clearly is I have a child. So clearly I I did not follow along with what some religious people do believe in terms of sex. But it was one part where he said that sex does involve God, and it's this beautiful thing that happens between two humans that is very much of God. And so I feel like sometimes in religious situations, we look at sex as being dirty, and it's not dirty. I mean, it can be dirty in the sense that like you get kinky, but like it's not a dirty thing when it's consensual sex between two of age individuals. You know, she just poetically wrote this book in a way that it was taboo, because it does involve a priest having sex and breaking his vows, but at the same time it was so tastefully done that I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'm going straight to hell for reading this book. You know, some people probably still believe that, but I feel like this book for me, just, it was done so nicely. And I get what people say in the reviews, like people are like, I was hesitant to pick this one up because, you know, sometimes you feel like, man, like people be taking this taboo stuff just a little too far. And like when I decided to get the audiobook, because I got the audiobook for the Audible sale, so the audiobook was like $3, and essentially I was like, all right, Ashley, like, you know, this one could be too much. If it's too much, you know, you don't have to finish it. But it was good. The only hiccup that I have with this one really is that I wish we would have gotten more of Poppy's perspective, because Poppy did something wild at the end of this book. And granted, like, I get why she did it, and I understand, because I'm not that type of person too, or I can be that type of person, the way that Poppy was kind of thinking about the situation and why she made the decision that she made. Like, I definitely can, I can rock with that, and I get why she's like, you know, I made that choice. However, it winded up being a really drastic, unnecessary situation in some ways. If like communication had just been a little more open, I think we would have been good. I also feel like I would have been a little bit more okay with how the situation ended up happening if we would have gotten Poppy's perspective. But because we don't really get to see a lot of what goes on in Poppy's head, we get glimpses, but not like full totality of Poppy's things that she has going on internally. I think that it would have been better to see that from her perspective and her line of thinking, because we get her decision after the fact through the priest, through his, and I can't remember his name, y'all. That's why I keep calling him the priest. We do get his perspective of the situation, but I wish that we would have gotten hers, if that makes sense. So after finishing Priest, I decided to go into the novella after the fact, which is Midnight Mass. I'm always hesitant about going into sequels to books where characters get their HEA, because it's what happens after the fact, what happens like after they get married. And sometimes it can be done well, sometimes it can not be done well. I've read some instances where it wasn't done well, so I was hesitant about it. And I thought that Priest was done so well that I'm like, I don't know if Midnight Mass is gonna be as good. So I went into it not really expecting much, and ended up almost bawling my eyes out because it was so beautifully done. I don't know how to describe how beautiful, like, it's so beautiful. We follow them after the fact. It's a lot of emotions in this one, because I feel like it's a lot at stake. You know, he has given up his priesthood for her, and so he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. 3 years, he spent 3 years being a priest, and so that's what he knows, that's what he's able to do. And when you step out of doing something like that for an extended period of time, then you're sitting there like, okay, well, what do I do with my life? So he's going to school, he's getting his PhD, he's trying to figure out life and figure out whether he still can have the same relationship with God that he had prior to leaving the priesthood. It's just a lot of emotions, like feeling like, you know, did I make the right decision by leaving my priesthood to marry this woman, and is God going to be angry with me for doing such a thing? And you know, so he's wrapping his mind around those emotions, trying to figure out his life, and as a result, he's neglectful to Poppy, and he knows that he is, and he becomes a jealous mess because he knows that, you know, he's given up everything for her, and she didn't give up everything for him. And so when there's other people who may or may not be stepping into the picture and creating jealousy, it you know, it turns him into someone that he's not, and he knows that. And it's very complicated and very real. I think that what Sierra Simone did with this part of the story is, you know, a lot of people get their HEAs or their HFNs in romance, and then everything just flows so perfectly. But this is when the real work begins, and I think that's real to life. You know, you get married and it's like, oh, you're on a high, but then what? Then reality kicks in. I mean, that could be indicative of any relationship. You know, you go through that honeymoon phase and everything is good and everything is perfect, and then it's like reality steps in and you're no longer on this chemical high with this person anymore, and your relationship is going to take a hell of a lot of work. And so we see that in Midnight Mass. There's a content warning for Midnight Mass, which I haven't necessarily seen a lot of people talk about all the time, and I feel like it's because it's almost a spoiler, but I don't know if I should put it in here or not. I don't know if I should put it in here. I will put it, okay, right here, spoilers. I'm gonna put spoilers on the screen, and then when the spoilers end, I'll put it on the screen and tell you that it's ended that way. So right now, just so you know, I'm about to spoil a part of the book because I think this content warning is important. So there is a content warning for infertility and miscarriage, and it really tests their relationship completely. I think that Poppy was happy to be pregnant, but at the same time, he was still being neglectful, and so she couldn't really share in the joy of her pregnancy. And then when they finally got over that hump, she ends up having a miscarriage, and it's hard. It was hard reading that part. It was very, very hard reading that part because I just felt like Poppy, it broke Poppy. It really did. And she wanted to have kids, and I know he wanted to have kids too, but I think it broke him, and she was very fearful of the fact that she had some way made God upset, and that she had made him so upset to the point that she would not be blessed with children, and that means that she wasn't a blessed person because she wasn't able to bear kids. And she was comparing herself to women in the Bible and saying, like, I don't know if, I hate when they do this construction shit, sorry y'all, but she was comparing herself to women in the Bible and saying, like, you know, if I can't bear children, then I'm not a blessed person, I'm not a blessed woman. And it was hard. It was really, really hard watching her figure that out. But I mean, this was done well. It's a 5-star read for me. Absolutely loved it. I can't wait to continue on with the rest of the series. I have 2 more books that I'm going to update y'all on later, but I'm almost at work, so I don't want to start them and then not be able to finish them. Just know that I am in the middle of reading Refugee by Alan Gratz. I'm listening to that. And then I'm also listening to Life Without You, which is a YA contemporary book about 2 sisters where one goes missing. I think it has a lot to do with mental illness representation, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I definitely will check in later, y'all. This is just, they irritate me with this every single morning.
Hi. Putting on this microphone so it'd be better. So behind me, you see all this mail. I have a lot of mail, and I also need to do a reading update. I need to show you what I checked out from the library. It's a lot, y'all. I am so happy that I don't actually have to record anything tonight. I am actually good on videos until Saturday of this week. So I love that for me. Y'all don't need to see any of this stuff. I feel like I talked about this stuff, like Yakuza Lover and all that stuff. I talked about that stuff in maybe 2 recent reads ago. I don't know. Somewhere around there. I just need to show y'all this stuff because I need to hurry up and put this stuff away because I'm just tired of looking at these boxes. But I have opened the boxes. I haven't looked to see what's in them, but I've opened them because I didn't want to open them necessarily on camera. So some of the stuff is for my birthday, which is so nice of all of these humans who sent me. This is from Chelsea. Thank you, Chelsea. Chelsea, I feel like you just never miss my birthday. And that's so sweet of you. So Chelsea got me a copy of Delilah Green Doesn't Care, which I have read and gave 5 stars to. Loved this book. This book was so good. And so I'm glad to have a physical copy of it. And this is one that I am so excited to read to baby girl. It's Una and the Shark, which I believe I ordered us copies of this one because I liked the first one, which is, I believe it's just Una, but it's another kind of like mermaid book that Kelly has done in the series. So thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate it. That's so sweet of you. 1 box down, y'all. Okay, so this next thing I'm going to show you is not, it's not a book, but it's a housewarming gift from Erica. Erica got me a vacuum cleaner, which is so sweet of her, y'all, because I had been telling, I guess I had said at one point, I'd said like I needed a vacuum cleaner because I was going crazy, like with all the stuff that gets on the floor, with all the carpet, and I needed to get some stuff vacuumed up. So thank you so much to Erica. This next one's from Izzy from Happy For Now. Oh, thank you, Izzy. Okay, so Izzy got me a copy of Unfinished Business by Christina C. Jones, which I have read and I have loved. This series is so good. Now I'm gonna go and buy the second one because my goal, like Izzy is also attempting to read all of Christina C. Jones's backlist, as am I, and I actually want to own all of her books. So I did finish this duology. It is a good duology. Christina C. Jones is just an amazing human. The next one that I got is Imakoi, Now I'm in Love, Volume 2. I put this on my list because I heard Izzy talking about Imakoi, and so I'm excited to read this one. Oh, and the cover is so soft. Listen, I appreciate Shay and Izzy for always putting me into my manga stuff. So this next one is actually, this is from HarperCollins. HarperCollins does a lot of their young reader stuff with me, meaning that like I get a lot of their picture books and like early readers and middle grade books. And so they sent me a few books, which I am happy about. They're doing their mailing list differently now. So they do it all or nothing. So even if there's just like 1 or 2 books that you want, you have to get all of them, which is fine. They always have such a varied list of things to check out, and I'm always excited to get more middle grade titles. So they sent me the 3rd book in the Maya and the, I'm guessing it's the Maya and the Rising Dark series, because I haven't seen it called anything else, but this is the 3rd book. So they sent me the 3rd book. They also sent me a copy of The Whispering Fog, which is a book that takes place in South Carolina that is kind of, I think it may be a little on the spooky side, possibly. It looks like it, like almost like a Southern Gothic type of thing. And they also sent me Where You've Got to Be, which is this one. And then the same author of The Muse Squad, which I've been eyeing that book for such a long time, is The Curse on Spectacle Key, which is kind of like another spooky thing. So thank you so much to HarperCollins for sending me those. Okay, the next one, I don't think I know who this is from. I don't know who this is from. This is from Shay. Shay got me manga. Of course you got me manga, Shay, because I love this. We definitely have to do this. Okay, all right. Hold on, I'm gonna get myself together. Let me finish that sentence first. We definitely have to do that swap that I was talking about when I get my life together. We should do it for the holidays. I'm gonna DM you when I finish filming this clip. Okay, so Shay got me McCoy volume number 1, also Nana volume 2. So they're re-releasing Nana right now. I do not own these. Were very, very hard to find for a very, very long time, and some of mine are not in the best condition, so I'm thinking about replacing some of them now that they're re-releasing them. But she got me a brand new copy of volume 2, which makes my heart smile. And she got me a copy of the Apothecary Diaries, which I am looking forward to reading because I heard about the Apothecary Diaries from Shay. Are we surprised? We shouldn't be at this point. Yeah, I have another one here. This is from this is from Kathleen. I'm not gonna cry. Kathleen is my birthday twin, and Kathleen got me a copy of You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Ukeke Emeze. This book is beautiful. This book is absolutely beautiful, and it's a lot shorter than what I thought. I don't know why I thought this book was longer, but it's a lot shorter than what I anticipated. Thank you, Kathleen. Oh, all spoiled me rotten. This is from, this one have a, this is also from Izzy. Okay, so Izzy and Shay have been talking a lot about Steamship, right? And they've been reading series from Steamship. And the Steamship, which is, what is Steamship in Emperor? It's from Seven Seas. That's what it is. It's a more spicy line of manga from Seven Seas, and so they're all wrapped. And this one is game between the suits, and I've heard good things about this from Izzy. Izzy's read this, and so I'm excited. I'm excited to be reading like the stuff that y'all have like inspired me to want to read. I think it's fun. Okay, I don't know who this is from. Oh, thank you, Steph. So this is from Steph from Novelty Corner. I will make sure I have everybody's channels linked down below. And Steph got me a copy of American Dreamer by Adriana Herrera. I have one other book in the series, which now it's like, child, go ahead and start the series. Steph, I also have to message you back. Steph and I are going to be doing a buddy read soon that I'm excited for. Thank you, Steph. I appreciate you. This is another Christina C. Jones. Look at it. It's so pretty. I've read this one too. I've read this duology. And I adore the series is covering you. Oh, Bree. This is from Bree in Love and Words. Oh, Bree. Okay, so we all love Christina. Christina is awesome. Oh, this was Sugar Valley. This duology was good too, y'all. Christina is just, y'all are making me want to reread books that I've already read. And sorry, y'all, if y'all can hear my dryer in the background. Listen, I had to do laundry. I had, I have a child that's, we're good on potty training, but, accidents still happen, so laundry. Thank you. Thank you, Bree. I appreciate you. I'm trying to remember. Oh, this is why. So Penguin sent me a couple of titles for Banned Books Week, which they actually ended up, this is specifically actually from Candlewood Press, but which is an imprint of Penguin. Y'all get what I'm saying. But I ended up getting them after banned books week. I got them that Saturday, which was the last day, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I'm sure they came earlier than that, but so I got a copy of Fat Angie, which has been banned and challenged. Julian is a Mermaid, which I have read and loved, and the sequel, and one that I'm excited to kind of read before it gets to my little one, in that it's perfectly normal, changing bodies, growing up, sex, gender, and sexual health, which absolutely. This is a really, really good book, by the way. So Macmillan sent me Aiden Thomas's new book, The Sun Bearer Trials, which I have heard great things about. Excited to pick this one up. And then this picture book that I'm super, super excited to read is Until Someone Listens, which is a story about Borders, family, and one girl's mission. This artwork in here, which is, hey, this is the real reason why I pick it up. The artwork is fantastic. I think in this vlog, no, not this vlog, I'm not gonna even lie to y'all. So I did get some stuff for myself. I got 4 books for myself, which I got 2 books by Stephen Graham Jones with intention. There's a purpose behind these, but I got The Fast Red Road, and then also The Bird is Gone, a monograph manifesto. These are both independently published. These are some of his earliest works, and I am planning on picking these up really, really soon. I also got a copy of Babel by R.F. Kuang. I do plan on blend reading this, because there's no way that I'm going to be able to read this without the audio attached to it. I know that this has a lot to do with understanding the history of colonization. It has a lot to do with linguistics, and I know that it's not necessarily for everyone, but I am interested in picking it up. And then the last one that I got was finally a copy of The Burning God, which I did not own. I did read The Poppy War earlier, but I'm going to go back and reread it, and then pick up The Dragon Republic and The Burning God. Oh, okay. So one last thing. This is so cool. So I was reached out to by this company, and they're Joyvano, and they make decorative bookends, and they reached out to me and asked me if I would like a set, and I said abso-freaking-lutely, I would love a set. And so they sent me to their shop and let me pick out 2 that I wanted. And let's be honest, it's spooky season. Joyvano decorative bookends. I'll be sure that I link their information down in the description box below. I hate these styrofoam things, y'all. Not on them. I just don't like them because I feel like they're just so messy. Okay, so now that I have recollected my items, these are the skull bookends that I got that are absolutely gorgeous. I think they're definitely spooky. Oh, this is cool, but they're bookends, which are great to have. We love a good set of bookends. So thank you so much to them for sending these to me. Like I said, I will leave the link to their company down in the box below. About the books, what's going on? What am I currently reading? What am I doing with my life? I don't know. I don't know. Life feels very chaotic right now, and I don't know why. But it does feel slightly chaotic. Anyway, beside the point, I am I'm in the middle of one thing right now. I was in the middle of a couple of things. I don't think I finished updating y'all on the two other books that I had ended up reading yesterday, because I know that I talked heavily about Cookies and Milk. I know that I talked about Priests and Midnight Mass. I know that I did not talk about some of the smaller novellas that I had ended up reading yesterday. I didn't read as much today because I actually had meetings today, so I didn't get the opportunity to listen to as much. But in addition to that, the stuff that I read yesterday, I also ended up reading Rapture at Sea, which is Desiring the Merman, book number 2 by Rihanna Barnett. This is the follow-up, but not really, because you don't have to read them in order. It's not like anything from the first book is necessarily relevant to this second book, unless you're just thinking about it thematically, because they all involve mermen. Then maybe, but not really. So the second book, our heroine is dating this guy. They go out on this boat, they end up hooking up, and then all of a sudden he's clearly involved with some drug lord. No business. She gets thrown overseas, and clothes are finished drying. Awesome. I love putting on warm pajamas fresh out the dryer. Nothing beats that. So she does end up dealing with this merman that rescued her, and they have a thing, and that's pretty much it. Like, it wasn't as much. I feel like I like the first one better because there was more setup to what would have been like a more complicated world and a more intriguing world and more lore, and we don't really get the same vibes in this one. It still was a decent read. I'm still gonna give it 3 stars, but the first one was definitely better. And then I ended up finishing Return to the Beach, which is the follow-up to Sated by the Beach, which I feel like I read in December of 2020. So I did not realize that this is a trilogy, actually. So it's this one, and there's a third book, and I'm super excited to pick up the third book. So in the second one, she ends up going back to the beach, Return to the Beach. So she goes back to meet Grant, who is the merman that she had met in the first book, because she starts to date this other guy, but she can't get him out of her head. So she goes back to kind of, I think, in some ways get some closure about the relationship that they had, and she ends up meeting his wife to be, and so there's some threesome action that goes on there that is really steamy, which I enjoyed, and I'm happy with how that second one ended. Clearly it leaves room and opportunity for a third book, but I wonder where like she took that third book, because it's already out. So I'm going to end up giving that one 4 stars. And then today, while I was at work, I ended up starting Refugee by Alan Gratz, which is, he's a well-known middle grade kind of like historical fiction writer. This book is about 3 refugees. They all take place during different time periods. One takes place during World War II. One takes place in 94. And I think the other one takes place in the 2000s. I don't want to get the date wrong. 2015. Okay. So the World War II one is following a young boy, a Jewish boy, who's trying to leave Germany. The 1994 is following a young girl as her and her family try to leave Cuba as Castro is in power. And then 2015, we're following a young boy from Syria whose family is trying to leave and make it to Turkey so that they can be safe. So it's the whole common theme between the 3 of them is escaping and having becoming refugees as a result. This is a lot darker than what I was expecting. It's 350 pages or more. I was not expecting it to be as graphic as it is, because I was thinking like, oh, it's middle grade, but like there's a lot of content warnings for this in terms of like death and other things that happen between. My child is upstairs doing something. I'm pretty sure she's upstairs singing. She was not ready to go to bed, but I was like, you don't have to go to sleep, but you need to lay down. So there's a lot of content warnings in this one. Like, it's a lot of content warnings in terms of like death and violence, and parents who are interesting, very interesting mental health issues going on in this. It's a lot. And so I it's a quick read, but I want to go back, like, because I feel like I missed a couple of things because I was thinking about something else that had happened in the book that I kind of got lost in my thoughts. So I think I'm going to go back an hour or maybe even 2 hours and re-listen to the previous 2 hours and probably not 2 hours because it's not that long of an audiobook, so probably like an hour, and re-listen to that section. But yikes, y'all, like, it's realistic, and I think that's what's important, is that Alan Gratz is trying to paint this realistic picture of what it's like to be a refugee. But honey, so I also picked up some stuff from the library. I know I'm trying to limit how many things I check out from the library right now, just because I am trying to focus on making sure that I'm reading my own physical collection. But there are some things that I did want to pick up. So, library bag. I have a library bag just like y'all, even though I work there. My hold finally came in of Wash Day Diaries. I've been waiting to read Wash Day Diaries for so long. I'm thinking about reading this one and doing a standalone review on the comic book channel. I ended up checking out, I actually have the whole series. I just didn't bring the whole series home. I left most of the books at work because I knew I didn't need to bring them all home at once. But I am going to be doing a video with these books. It's not like a secret project or anything, to be honest with you, which is why I'm showing them to you. But I do have Little House in the Big Woods and Farmer Boy. Reading these with intention. There's a reason behind why I'm reading those two. And then just for funsies, I kind of wanted to get back into reading the Magic Treehouse series because I'd read a couple and I was reading them and then I kind of stopped. So I do have the first one, which is Dinosaurs Before Dark. I have book number 2. Where is book number 2? Oh, The Night at Dawn. I have book number 3, which is Mummies in the Morning. Book number 4, which is Pirates Past Noon. And then book number 5, which is Night of the Ninjas. These are really quick. Honestly, if I had time tonight, I probably would try to read at least the first one. Which, I mean, I may still read the first one. I may. I don't know. I haven't really made up my mind just yet. So, on the agenda tonight, what am I doing tonight? I am getting some rest. I got rest last night and I feel completely and 100% refreshed today, which is why I'm going to do the same thing tonight. But before I do that, I do want to film this reel really quick of this book haul to go ahead and just get it out the way. And then I do have a video that I need to edit. It's not a long video that's going to go up on my comic book channel tomorrow. And then I do have 2 other reading vlogs that I'm working on right now. Nothing really too deep. One is a reading vlog of me rereading Amari and the Night Brothers and reading Amari and a Great Game from my patrons. That's that one. And then other than that, let me think. The other one is me reading an entire series of something for the comic book channel, but it's manga, so it won't really take me that long. So I plan to shoot through maybe 3 volumes of that tonight, and so I will, hopefully get that done. But other than that, I'm just trying to finish up some things before the month ends. I do have my entire month of October. All of my content for October is planned out, so that makes me feel good. Just a little bit. y'all, I just wanted to do this final check-in before I end this week's recent reads. I did want to update you and let you know that I did finish Alan Gratz's book Refugee. It was a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I really enjoyed it. It focused, like I said, on 3 main characters that all end up being refugees. It takes place in 1930s Nazi Germany, 1994 Cuba, 2015 Syria. It was so beautifully done. I didn't even realize the interconnectedness of all 3 narratives until the very end, and that's what made me low-key an emotional mess. This book, I would definitely say you need to check out my Goodreads review of this one, because there's a lot of content warnings in this one with violence and death and depiction of mental health on page. That is something that's a little out of bounds for traditional middle grade historical fiction. However, I think that Alan Gratz wanted to give the most realistic depiction of what it was like for some of these kids and what it's like for some of these kids now, so that readers get the opportunity to kind of see outside of their own experiences. Like I always say, that has a tendency to build empathy, and it's some things that kids can use to, you know, be more hyper aware of what's happening to their own peers across the globe. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading more of Alan Gratz's works. I think that he does such beautiful writing, such accurate historical fiction. In the middle of doing puzzles right now. I think that he does such a great job of even highlighting like all of his source material. So in the back of this one, he has an author's note that's pretty intricate and really details where he gets his character inspiration from. He talks about the history of these individuals. He even donated proceeds from the audiobook to, I believe, UNICEF to help with all of the kids that have been impacted by the civil war that's happening in Syria. Anyway, as we continue to go on, I love it when she sings. That's it for the week. I think the last thing that I ended up really finishing was Amari and the Night Brothers. This was a reread for me. Not going to talk about that here because I'm doing a Patreon exclusive vlog for this of Amari and the Great Game. So 5-star read for me. Rereading Amari, it was just as good this time around, and I really got to annotate it a lot this time. I'm in the middle of reading Sex Cult Nun right now. I think I'm going to carry that definitely into next week. This is a tough one. It's a lot that's going on in Sex Cult Nun that I just can't. It's graphic, and I'm only in chapter 3, and it's a lot to swallow. It's a lot of things on page that make me extremely uncomfortable, so I'm trying to pace myself with this one. I actually don't know if I'm 100% going to continue on with it because it's a lot, but I will let y'all know that in the next recent reads. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. All the links to my social media and all the links to my social media and ways to support the channel are down in the description box below. If you're looking for specific reviews of the books that I have talked about in this week's recent reads, all of the timestamps will be also in the description box below, which you probably would have already recognized that if you've made it this far. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you've read this week and what your reading plans are for the next week. We are officially in spooky season, so I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all are reading. I will also leave that discount code to the skulls that I had in a previous clip, my bookends. I leave the code down in the description box and the link to the shop that was kind enough to send these to me, and I will be back with another recent reads next week. Say huh?
I was playing with those.
Oh, you was playing with the skull? Y'all should see my child right now. She's drinking milk out of a coffee cup and she's standing like this drinking the coffee. I'm drinking the milk. And she looks like an adult. Bye, y'all. See y'all next week.